Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the report of the week, and we are now on the air. Well, here we are. Another recording, another lecture. It is Thursday, March 27th, 2014. One more day. Then it's Friday. Just gotta go through Friday. Friday night. It's all yours. There goes the week, right? It's going by. Definitely going by. So, how are we today? How are we doing? Yeah, I really hope you're doing well. I truly do. I don't know how I'm doing, But I hope you're doing well. I definitely do. I wish you all the best. Yeah, today, it went smooth for the most part for me. Not much happened, but it went pretty smooth. Until I got home in the afternoon. Found that, my fish passed away. But, I handled it well. I figured, everything comes to an end at some point. You figure, it's just part of the natural, life cycle. Everything that starts ends at some point, Same applies to life. If you're born, you're going to die one day. Just got to accept it. And, that I did. He was a good fish, though. A beta fish, or a red beta fish. Goliath. What's his name? But overall, he was a good fish. Really, I considered him a fighter. We got him about 2 years ago, so he lived a perfectly average lifespan for the most part. But he lived a good life. I consider him a fighter personally. He ended up, I think, about 6 months ago. Ended up having something called a swim bladder disorder, which it's a condition with fish which could eventually lead to death, within a week. But we were able to take care of that, and he was back on track. So really, he was a fighter. He got past that, but he lived an average life. He was a good fish though. Certainly was. Boy. Now, after announcing this, I'm going to be, of course, the people are going to come to me, and, I'm going to get probably some people that are going to say to me online, oh, well, you obviously didn't take care of your fish because he died, or whatever. Oh, you're cruel, you're inhumane, whatever, I'm going to get people saying that to me, probably within the hour that this is uploaded. They're going to be, they'll be back, as always. So they'll be trying to get something out at me, no matter what I say. But I can assure you, we took good care of him. I myself have taken numerous marine science courses, so I know, great deal of knowledge about fish that, they probably don't for the most part. But I could assure you he was taken care of, clean tank, and all of that. Well fed. So I could assure you he was taken care of well. But what happened, and that's that. What good is this, What good is this? It's like talking to a brick wall. You explain it, you say whatever you have to say, and they just keep coming back. But that's why you got to ignore that kind of stuff, You let the demons torment you, and you just let them. Because if you just complain about it and whine about it, well, that's just going to give them more stuff to do. Because that'll make it seem, oh, well, we're working. Whatever we're doing, we're working. Yeah. Such is life, right? Just gotta let go. Just gotta let it go. Well, aside from that, You just got to deal with it. You got to accept it for what it is. Live the good life. But, well, here we are. Show number 3 on VORW. I'll call it VORW for a while now, Voice of Report of the Week. Just because I'm a creative genius, obviously. But I can't think of a tacky title, so we'll call it this for now. That we will. So, what do we got planned for today? I'm sure many of you have watched my reviews, my videos. Maybe some of you will pay attention to my attire in the videos. I wear a vast variety of garments. And some I'll be wearing a shirt and tie. Others I'll be wearing a sport coat. And others I'll be wearing a 3-piece suit. In some videos, though, I'll be wearing a 3-piece suit for the most part. You'll see me wearing a white shirt with a necktie, but you'll see the collar of the shirt standing up straight with 2 points in the front folded over. And I've received so much criticism, it's absolutely overwhelming to see. I received so much criticism for that look. I'm just going to talk about it now. This is going to be topic 1. That type of shirt, the collar that I wear attached to that shirt, is known as a wing collar, a wingtip collar. A detachable wing collar. I received so much criticism. I'm just going to clarify things now, and we'll see. So, what is a wing collar exactly? Well, I just explained it, but I will reiterate. A wing collar is a shirt collar, usually standing straight up, with 2 points folded over in the front. It's that simple. They're most commonly seen today worn with tuxedos. If you're ever watching like one of the big award shows or whatever, you might see a few of those collars worn. Or if you go to a formal dinner, you might see a few. Or if you ever go to a formal party or an event or whatever, you might see a few of those. That's what they're typically worn now. However, as you know, I'm an antiquarian. I truly admire the early 1900s, and I, replicate some styles from that era, and that's one of them. Now, the wing collar originally was worn, it really gained popularity in, the late 1800s. And it was worn with neckties. It was really popular in the late 1800s amongst almost everyone. Worn typically with a 3-piece suit, and it was worn with a necktie. Now, these collars, obviously you don't see really anyone wearing them anymore. Of course, there's a few people. I know a few people on various sites who still do wear a few with ties. So I'm not the only one out there, but I'm one of few. I definitely am one of few. But really, they were popular in the 1890s, 1900s, 1910s. They're even popular into the 1920s. A lot of people think, the 1920s, that was with, those big zoot suits, right? I mean, some people wore them. A lot of people think 1920s, they think, the gangster with the 3-piece suit and the fedora hat. Of course, that was a very popular look. But there were still many individuals in the 1920s who still wore those wing collars with neckties. Into the 1930s, they began to decline. And in the 1940s, they were worn by very few people, though they still were worn. 2 prominent individuals in the 1940s who still wore wing collars were, Albert Einstein, the scientist, And in the early 1940s, late 1930s, just before the start of World War II, the Prime Minister of England, Neville Chamberlain, he always wore wing collars. And they were really the last two prominent figures to wear them, with suits. And after that, after the war, came the 1950s, where, suits were still worn by most men. However, more casual wear became to, enter the scene. So then you might see men wearing, slacks and a collared shirt instead of a full suit and fedora. But many men still did dress well, and come the 1960s, early 60s, it was basically a continuation of the 50s in style. And then the hippies came and ruined everything. And then we got jeans and all that trash. And here we are today. Where you got anyone wearing anything they want. Anything goes. Could wear athletic wear out in public. When you're not working out, you could wear sleepwear out in public. You could wear practically anything. But, wing collars haven't been seen in public for probably a good, 70 years. Now, the style of a wing collar, I said before, is a stiff detachable collar, standing up, except for 2 points in the front which are folded down. Now, let this be clear. I correctly wear the wing collars. I always do. I research a style before I start going out and wearing it. There's a difference between having a retro fashion from the early 1900s and looking like an idiot. There's very big differences. But a lot of people don't see those differences. They think, well, what you're wearing hasn't been seen in 60, 70 years, so, you look like a fool. Well, so be it. But when I wear the wing collars, they're worn correctly. They definitely are. I've researched all of this. I get people saying time and time again, well, what's wrong with your shirt? Nothing. Nothing is. It's just a style that most people haven't seen and being worn in 2014. They still exist, though. They still do. And thus, freaks like me wear them. But, it's correctly worn, but uncommon. And I wear it with a 3-piece suit, but with a 4-in-hand knot. Alright? Now let me explain to you the 4-in-hand knot, okay? Most of you guys out there probably know your tie knots. Those of you that are businessmen out there. They gotta wear something acceptable to work, or those of you that choose to appear in public with dignity. I'm sure many of you, or at least some of you, are aware of your tie knots. My go-to tie knot is the Windsor, though sometimes I wear the half Windsor. However, when it comes to this look, it's worn with the 4-in-hand knot. The 4-in-hand knot is commonly known as a rookie tie knot. Truly is. It's regarded as the tie knot for the beginners. When I started out, the first knot I learned was the 4-in-hand. You might see it worn in some of my first videos. I didn't learn the Windsor and half Windsor until September of 2011. So yeah, all my videos up to then, I wore the 4-in-hand knot. So you can check that out. Anyway, though, it's worn with the 4-in-hand knot. That's the classic style. People have critiqued me. Some people who actually are familiar with this style, they've critiqued me. They said, well, why aren't you wearing it with a Windsor knot? Why are you wearing that 4-in-hand knot with it? I said, well, If I wore it with a Windsor knot, I'd look like I'm going to a wedding. And that's not what I want to look like for daily wear, you know? I don't want to look like someone who's wearing a suit for the first time in their life. Is there any way to tell the difference? I don't know. But, you know, I'd rather just go with what the style was and stick with it. That's what I do. Now, there are a few other types of collars out there. And let that be known. You got the imperial collar. And these you never see. Alright? They're still sold. And there's still some individuals that wear them. But you almost never see these anymore. The imperial collar. That's the collar that's just completely standing up. Nothing folded over, just completely standing up. And those are more archaic. They haven't been worn since the 1910s. You know, and they've been worn with neckties and bow ties at the time. But if you really want to go for, you know, a retro look, you could wear an imperial collar with a three-piece suit and have a necktie there or a bow tie there. You might see an imperial collar very rarely at an event where morning dress is required. You might see one there. But that's about the only place you'll see one. You know, there might be the odd person, you know, wearing one at a black tie or white tie event that's going for more of a retro look. Could always be someone. But they're not commonly seen. And then you could have club collars. And some of those are still worn today, but once again, the whole detachable collar thing really isn't that popular. Wing collars are actually the most popular of them. You know, where there's still millions of people wearing them every day. Maybe not with neckties, but they're still worn every day in great number around the world. But you have club collars. And that's a stiff detachable collar, but it's turned down and it's round at the tips. So many people just know them as a round collar shirt. I have one of those. I should wear it sometime. Definitely should. But these are your dress shirt collars. Detachable, of course. And I wear the wing collar. Yeah, I do wear them correctly, but you know, what can you do? You just gotta persevere, you gotta press on, you gotta think, well, you know what? Deal with it. You know, I'll do my thing, and you do yours, and that's that. Well, we've wasted a good 18 minutes of time talking about wing collars. What next? What's next on the list? The grand list. Let's see. You know, yesterday in my show, I came in halfway and said, well, you know, send me a message. I really wasn't going to talk for 10 minutes about that in that one show alone, so I'm going to do it now. Topic 2 is all about the inbox. I said, you know, in the last show, feel free to check us out at www.youtube.com/the-report-of-the-week. One word. And I said explore the channel and send me a message. Now let it be known, from this point forward, I will read and respond to all mail. All of it is getting a response from me. Alright? I know I've been a little, unfortunately, lazy with the inbox, but I'm now going to manage it as diligently as I can. You know, I'm going to read and respond to all mail. I'm going to respond to the negative comments. I might argue with them. I might, you know, think of a solution. I might ignore them, whatever, but I'm going to respond to them nonetheless. I might say, well, thanks for the suggestion, but just thanks. You know, I might say, well, you know, You could have said it a little nicer, but that is a valid point. I'll respond to all the positive comments. You know, if someone says, I really enjoyed the show last night, I'll say, hey, thanks, you know, that really means a lot to see someone, you know, whatever. And I'll definitely take suggestions. I definitely will. You know, I'm accepting of constructive criticism. Sometimes I don't necessarily like to see constant constructive criticism. I might think, well, do you have anything good to say? But I'll definitely take constructive criticism and suggestions. We'll see what can be done. No, we definitely will. And what I think I'll do with this, you know, I really do, if you've made it thus far in the show, you know, just check out the channel now and, you know, send me a message. Let me know how things are going on the show so far. If you have any suggestions for future topics, let me know. Share your mind. What I might do for a few emails every day, week, whatever. I'll read a few on the air and I'll respond to them on the air. Now you have complete anonymity here. I'm not going to mention any names, locations, whatever. Just going to share your message if you wish. And I'll respond to it on the air. You'll get to hear me reply to it with my own voice. So you know this is Grand Review Bra, you know, responding to it, and you know, not my production team who manages all the emails. Wink, wink. That obviously manages them. Yeah, I have a huge production team. Wink, wink. If you get the message, the irony. But you know, I'll read a few on the air, and you know, you shouldn't be worried. You'll get complete anonymity. You know, if it's anything that's too disgraceful or inappropriate or whatever, you know, you won't hear it. I won't say anything. But we'll see. We will see. But let it be known, when you send me a message, I'll be seeing it, I'll be replying it, and I might be reading it on the air. That doesn't mean keep it appropriate. You know, speak your mind, and I'll do what I have to do. I can't control your life. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. Who am I? Who am I to tell you what to do, you know? So, that's that. That's the inbox. That is, indeed, the inbox. The inbox system. Thursday afternoon. It's a sunny day today. It's still a tad chilly. It's you know, in the 40s outside. 40-degree Fahrenheit, not Celsius. But it's in the 40s outside. It's mainly clear. Yeah, I'll take it. You know, I believe tomorrow, Friday, it's supposed to be warmer actually. A few showers possible, they said, but it's going to be about 56, so that's nice. Yesterday we got some snow. Not as much as they said, which is good. I'm sick of that snow. But it was windy yesterday. I was worried. I always get worried with the wind. I have a story that I guess I'll tell you it now. About the wind. Yeah, I'm always worried about the wind. I always am. And, you know, I had two experiences which made me, you know, kind of nervous whenever there's a windstorm, be it coming or occurring. You know, the first one happened many years ago. Might have been 2008 or so. I remember that day. It was quite windy. You know, looking out the window, I always saw the branches, you know, blowing around, and all that. And I thought, well, you know, I hope nothing happens. I said, I hope nothing happens to any of the trees or the branches nearby. That evening didn't get any better. It was raining and windy. You know, there were gusts up to about 50 miles per hour. It was, you know, really something. All of a sudden, this one gust about 60 miles per hour goes by. I hear the windows almost, you know, getting blown at. shifting almost. The wind roaring through the trees. And all of a sudden I hear this crack. And I think, oh no. So, not taking any chances, I got down to the ground. I was on the second floor. Got down to the ground and this thundering crash. Here's thundering crash. And we knew a tree came down very close by. We didn't know if it was in our yard, if it hit the house, if it did, who knows what. So, we got back up. We looked around. We saw everyone was safe. We checked all the rooms. There wasn't any big hole. It wasn't like the tree crashed through any of the rooms. But we were looking. Obviously, the interior of the house was completely intact. We go downstairs, and obviously it was dark. It was night. It was about 9 p.m. Get a flashlight, open the back door, and we can't open it. There was this big, foliage tree branch in the way. We couldn't get the door open, so we shined it through. And the next day, we finally got to see what happened. Big tree nearby fell down, crashed into the backyard, and destroyed half of our deck, and missed the house by about a foot. If it just shifted the other way, we might have lost a room. It was pretty far away. It seriously built up momentum. If it hit the house, it definitely would have done damage, but it destroyed some of the deck. But it just clipped the house. It took off a few, some roofing, but we got that fixed up and repaired the deck. So that was one story we got. Ever since then, I was always worried about the wind. Now you figure, well, what if, next time it's not so close? I always get worried. I guess it is, though, to be better safe than sorry, as they say. But that's story number 1 of 2. Number 2, I'm sure many more of you can relate to this one. Back in 2012, October of 2012, there was a powerful storm that went up the East Coast. And that storm, known as Hurricane Sandy. Never gonna forget that. I'm probably gonna be remembering this for the rest of my life. Hurricane Sandy. I remember the storm coming up. And, I remember the storm coming up the East Coast, hearing about it, saying, it's going to be a Category, I believe, 2 hurricane. And I was worried. I was worried, number 1, for the winds, and number 2, for the flooding. By then, I already had that better safe than sorry attitude, so I didn't know if the house itself was going to be destroyed. Or if a neighbor's house was going to catch fire, and, it would spread to our humble abode. Or what have you. Many worries were had, the days before the hurricane, but we stayed in, weathered out the storm. In the first day of the storm, the winds were gradually building. The day wasn't that bad, though. We remember watching a news broadcast from the city, seeing, the various destruction that was already occurring. But that night, that's when all hell broke loose. At that point, the eye of the storm was crashing into New Jersey. That's when all the terrible destruction was occurring at the, the Jersey Shore and all that area. Winds here were, at times, about 70 miles per hour. And I thought, well, this is when the storm's going to be its worst. So I actually took the camera out and just started filming. I have numerous tapes, both from outside and inside. I don't know, I might release them in a few years. But right now I'm just keeping them to myself. But, I remember winds outside were, 70, 75 miles per hour. The lights were flickering on and off. Obviously, probably, from down power lines somewhere and switching the grid and what have you. I remember actually stepping outside. Boy. Foolish. Yeah, foolish. With winds that high, you don't know what's coming. Of course, nothing hit me. There wasn't anything that massive blowing around, but I remember stepping outside and looking at the tops of the trees in the distance. And, the tops of the trees, they were almost, horizontal. The winds were that strong. Strongest wind I've ever seen in my life. And, I saw, flashes of electricity in the air from down power lines somewhere. It's crazy. There were no cars. The only thing I saw going by was a police car at one point. But, finally, of course, with the lights flickering on and off, eventually the power went out for good. And the next day, we finally, we took out this one crank radio and, kept up to date with the storm news there and had candles going and all that. The next day we woke up and, to our surprise, no trees in our yard, in our property and on whatever in the city went down near us. However, all the other streets and the other blocks and all that, there were trees down everywhere. It was terrible. Surprisingly enough, though, the power was restored the next day. But, truly, to see that utter destruction that winds could cause just, around us. And those, the flooding and all that happened down at the Jersey Shore, absolutely just devastating, Storms like these are something you never want to see again. You never want to see those again. Well, there's my story about wind. Stories, plural, I suppose we could say. If you even want to consider those stories, I guess it could just be my incessant babbling, there, but who knows? Who knows? It's a Thursday. I got a better sleep, by the way. I did. I got a full, 8.5 hour sleep. So that's always good. Always good. Always a good thing. You are listening to VORW, the voice of the report of the week. We're about 3/4 through the show at this point. If you want to, please check us out at www.youtube.com/the report of the week. That is www.youtube.com/the report of the week. That's TheReportofTheWeek. Please explore the channel. We have hundreds of videos dating through the years of both reviews, energy drink and food, and lectures, plus an archive of previous broadcasts. Feel free to check us out. While you're exploring the channel, please feel free to send me a message. I would really appreciate your feedback on the show. Let us know how we're doing today. If you have any comments, suggestions, criticisms, whatever it may be, please feel free to send me a message if you'd like. Thank you. This is very important. Take care. Well, so far we got talking about the wing collars and then the inbox, and then I got sidetracked and started talking about wind. That wasn't even planned. I just started going off. So, what are we gonna talk about now? Well, normally I don't talk about this, but how about we just talk about world events? What's going on in the world in March of 2014? Well, the main headline that's been plaguing the news is that Malaysian Airlines flight. They still have yet to actually find the physical plane itself. Many theories are rising, but who knows? They've been looking for this plane for weeks now. no sign of it. Truly saddens me to see that, because of who knows what, people are saying now it might have been pilot, suicide. That the pilots might have killed themselves and everyone else on the plane, and it would have just gone unmanned for miles and miles until it crashed in the Indian Ocean. Regardless of what happened, though, it's absolutely, it's saddening to see, that now 200 and some people have lost their lives. They never did anything, and now they're all dead. It's really a shame to see. I'm sure they were all, for the most part, probably decent people. Just a shame to see. But many theories emerge around the disappearance of this plane. Ranging from, obviously, the more outlandish theories of alien abduction, sabotage, to technical failure, to suicide by the pilots. Some have even said, well, the flight was hijacked, but now it's just seeming more and more unlikely that that's the case. What I believe the plane is, as some have called it, was a zombie plane. Now, we're not talking Walking Dead zombies here. No, we're not. What could have happened was, the pilot, one of them, decided to, kill himself. That could be a case. Or there could have been a technical error, where the equipment failed or was purposefully shut off. Cabin pressure was lowered. And eventually the plane made that turn with everyone on the plane incapacitated, and it just went flying across the ocean until it ran out of fuel and crashed. You think anyone's ever going to find that plane? I don't know. What humors me is that, two news channels in the U.S., MSNBC and CNN, have literally been covering this plane, this mystery, non-stop since it started. What's going to happen if they never find this plane? It should be very unfortunate, but if they never find this plane or the black box or what have you, when are they going to stop? When are they going to stop covering this? Is this going to be the new thing now? I don't know. But this isn't anything to joke about, and I understand that. Well, it's just very odd to see, in 2014, the self-proclaimed internet age, to see just a full commercial airliner like this just vanish, without a trace. And I think this one satellite was able to find about, 122, large objects that could possibly be that plane. Could be a debris field. I don't know. The plane might just be at the bottom of the ocean, miles down. Very well may be. But we'll have to keep an eye on this. The plane could be uncovered at any given moment. We've got so many countries searching for it. One could say it's only a matter of time. We will see. Well, and that's about it. Well, we hopped around in this show. We first started out, talking about my poor little betta fish who passed away. Then jumped on to wing collars. And then talked about the inbox on YouTube. And the process of sending me messages. Then we talked about weather for a short period. And then we did our Thursday news roundup. Well, thank you for listening. This is the Report of the Week. And I wish you all the best on this Thursday. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Take care. This is the Report of the Week. Signing off.